Hello, hello, and good evening. Welcome to the Working Wednesdays broadcast. I am your host, Audra V. Hurd, and I'm so excited about tonight's show. I have none other than Master Financial Coach Selena Gibbons. She is with us this evening. I'm so excited about her sharing her journey as an entrepreneur and all the good stuff that she has been doing in the past years. She has a saying that is all gas, no brakes. So we are taking off the brakes tonight, all gas. We are moving forward, and I'm so excited she's going to come on and share with us her journey. So do me a favor. Like, share, tag the video, get someone on this evening who needs to be encouraged. Maybe they need to write a book. Maybe you need to write a book. Maybe you need to hear some encouraging words about becoming a business owner and entrepreneur, all that good stuff. So that's what we do on this broadcast. We showcase and highlight authors and business owners. So I'm excited. I want you to join the Right to Empower coaching program. Let me share that real briefly. The Right to Empower coaching program is a program that I designed to assist you with getting your book done. So if you have an issue with getting started, you don't know where to start, you're dealing with a lot of pain, maybe a lot of trauma, you don't understand how to work through that trauma and pain, that's what we do in this particular program. You can visit the website on the screen, which is righttoempower.net. So I wanted to put a quick plug in for that. So we're going to have a quick break. We're going to show a few commercials, and then we're going to get Selena on. So we will be right back. All right. Thank you. Thank you for those who have joined us this afternoon, this evening. Do me a favor, like, share, tag the video, leave us a comment in the comment box, and we will respond to you immediately. So I'm not going to delay the hour any longer. I'm going to go ahead and get my special guest on this evening. She is in the green room. She's ready to roll. So we're going to go ahead and get Selena on. Hello, hello. Good evening.
Hi. Hello, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
Good, 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 good.
Good, good stuff. Do me a favor, greet our audience and tell them a little bit about yourself this evening.
Hello, everyone. I am Master Financial Coach Selena G, as well as a Master Hairstylist here in Jacksonville, Florida at Platinum Cut Salon. I am a serial entrepreneur
Yes.
where I have plenty hats that I wear.
Yes,
And I'm
yes.
just so glad to be here tonight to share some awesome things with you all that are watching.
Awesome. So you said
Yeah.
you were a serial entrepreneur. So tell us some of the businesses that you own, what you do. Let's start there.
Yes. So let's start with the 800 Plus Financial Freedom Club, LLC, which was established last year, actually 2019 when I started. Um, God spoke to me to start teaching financial literacy to young adults as well as adults that need assistance with getting out of debt. as well as with their credit. They don't know which route to go, where to start. And so I started my company to help as many people as I can towards financial freedom by teaching financial literacy, doing quarterly workshops. I have done multiple workshops, and it has just truly been a blessing to so many.
Awesome, awesome. So I didn't know, which you and I are friends, just for the record, but I didn't know that it initially started for young people. So that's where it started at. And then it bridged to adults, or how did you make that transition?
But basically, not only just for young people, it's just started for anyone who needed assistance with their finances. I have a lot of
Gotcha.
people that come up to me, young, old. I mean, there's no age limit.
Hmm.
That some just stuck. They don't know
Hmm.
how to even get started, and then sometimes it could be overwhelming to some. They
Hmm.
have the bills, but they don't want to sit down and go through it. It could
Right.
just be too overwhelming. So some people
Hmm.
just need a coach to help coach them along the way, to give them the tips and tools that they need to set up a financial plan to get the goals done.
Gotcha. Okay. So we know you have the 800 Plus Financial Freedom Club. Let's talk also about what you do on an almost daily basis, making women look beautiful.
Yes. So also, I'm a master hairstylist. Have
Mhm.
been a hairstylist for over 20 something years now.
Wow.
Went started all the way back in the 90s. I'm the oldest of six, so have
Wow.
been doing hair for a long time.
Yeah. Sound like
I
me. I
used
started in the 90s too. Yes.
So I had to do my sister's hair and sometimes my cousins, but it's always been a passion of mine to do hair. And so immediately after high school, I went into hair school and
Hmm.
have been doing hair ever since.
Hmm.
Um, while I was doing hair, I was doing it part time, but because I was working at a full time job as well at that time at JP Morgan Chase. So worked at JP Morgan Chase for over about 15 years. And
Hmm.
I still was doing hair on a part-time basis. But basically God opened the door for me to be able to leave Chase and go full-time doing hair, which is what I always wanted to do. And I always had a passion to help people with their finances as well. Working at Chase kind of opened my eyes to a lot of things
Hmm.
as far as working behind the scenes,
Yeah.
listening and helping people. Uh, when I first started, I was helping people on the phones, but then I started working in some back office things as the years went on. But just looking at people accounts and seeing them going through hardships,
Hmm.
something resonated in me, and I just wanted to help people. Um, get out, not to be in those predicaments where they almost about to lose their house, lose their
Right.
cars, lose the things that they have because they're so over their head in debt. And that is why I, branched off and started the company, um,
Hmm.
Financial Freedom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow. So it sounds like you've been on a journey. Let's backtrack a little bit and talk about your transition from working at Chase to working for yourself. How did how did that transition work? Especially after you have been with them for so many years and then to go off and start doing your own thing. How did you make that transition?
Basically, I just made up my mind. It's like I went to a conference, and in the conference, I just heard the Spirit of God was like, you just got to get this done. You got to step out the boat
Mm,
and you got to help the people. And I realized this isn't an assignment. Even with
yeah,
doing hair, it's a ministry.
right.
People sit in your chair and I mean, they ain't even got to know you. There could be their first time there, but for whatever reason, they feel comfortable and they just start talking, telling you about their situations and issues that's going on. And I have so many of my clients, when they leave, they said, man, I'm so glad I came to you. I'm so glad I met you. I feel so much better. They already look better,
Mhm.
but now
Yeah,
they feel better inside because when people leave me, you know me, I'm always hyped. I'm like, look, you can
right.
do this. I'm always encouraging others because
Mhm.
I know what God can do.
Yeah.
When you step out the boat and start working on the assignments that he already predestined for you to work on, and
Mm-hmm.
start working on those gifts, working the gifts, excuse me, that he has given you. So I try to encourage my clients, and when they leave, they'll text me and say, "Man, you really empowered me. Like when I leave
Yeah.
here, I feel like I could do it. I feel like let me go home and get started. Let me get started
Mm-hmm.
on what it is that I need to do." So I thank God that it's not just doing hair, and
Yeah.
it's something that I love to do. It's always something that comes over me when I'm working on a client, because they get more than just a hairdo. When they
Right.
leave, they're empowered. When they leave, they feel good, not only on the inside, but also not only on the outside, but also in the inside.
Yeah.
Because God always give me a word to say to them, something
Mm-hmm.
encouraging. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely is a ministry, and of course, a lot of people know I used to do hair too, and some people just like coming to me because of the spirit that I
Hmm.
carried, and like you said, they feel relaxed, they can share, they don't feel like it's a big gossip house where you talk about it.
Hmm.
People, that's some people, that's the only getaway that they get is
Correct.
coming to sit in your chair. So I totally get that. Let's talk about this real fast because, I started doing hair in the late 90s too. Well, actually, early 90s because I went
Hmm.
straight out of high school, but I didn't actually get my license till 5 years later, which was 98. But so 98 is when I got my license. But how has hair evolved since the 90s? And I kind of know the answer, but I just want to see since you in the game now. And you
Yeah.
actually been in the game the whole time, but I jumped
Yes.
out. But how do you feel like it's evolved over the years?
It has really evolved over the years. In the 90s, it was completely different, of course.
Yeah.
Um, Even as far as being in the salon is completely different. Back in the
Okay.
days, it was more like a social club per se.
Right.
People
Right.
would go in there and they would sit for hours. They would be in there all day, talking
Hmm.
to friends or what have you. And the styles have changed. Of course, the technology have changed,
Right.
because when I was doing hair, the internet, I mean, social media and all that stuff wasn't available then.
Right.
We were just being introduced to America Online at that time, I think around
Hmm.
95.
Right.
So, of course, a lot has changed since then. Now you have social media and, different things that you could do online now versus how it was back then. It was more so
Yeah.
word of mouth, and
Right.
other things in that nature. So, yeah, it definitely
Hmm.
has changed a lot. Definitely
Yeah.
has
Yeah.
changed.
And you're right, because if it was word of mouth, that's how you built your clientele.
Hmm.
Somebody liked you, they referred somebody else, or people walked in. And
Correct.
you can get new clients with walk-ins if they liked your work. So it has evolved. I think about things like what they call it now, crochet.
Hmm.
Back in the day, it used to be latch hook. It was not
Yes.
crochet; it was latch hook. And I and I think about how that has evolved with the looped hair and pre-looped
Yes.
and all of that. So, and even the variety of styles.
Correct.
It was like two or three different types of latch hook, and that was it. If it didn't look good on you, you look crazy with it on.
Correct.
But
Yes.
now it's evolved so much. So I just wanted to plug that in real quick. So let's bridge into Selena the author.
Yes.
Let's talk about what inspired you to write your first book and even how that journey has evolved.
Actually, it's amazing how God operates. I was
Hmm.
doing workshops
Yeah.
um, right before the pandemic, but right before the shutdown, March of last year. I did my workshop March the 7th, 2020.
Hmm.
And I had a pretty decent little crowd that came out to the workshop.
Okay.
Um, and I heard God as clear as day. As people were leaving, they were saying how much information they got. They enjoyed um, the workshop, and I had information that I gave to them that they could take. But I
Hmm.
know if I had a book, they could take that with them. Something
Right.
that they can always reference.
Hmm.
And that's what God spoke to me. Said you need to write a book. So when people leave your workshops or events or what have you, they have something that they can reference when they go home.
Right.
Lo and behold, Pastor April Gant was there as one of my vendors,
Hmm.
and she wrote a book. But I did not know at the time she was doing classes to help you write your book in 60 days. So before the class ended, I said, well, I'm going to sign up because I know I need to write a book for my future workshops, so when people leave, they can have something to go home with. Lo and behold, not knowing anything about the shutdown, because like I said, this was on March the 7th. And they shut everything down in Jacksonville. I think it was the end of March, 27th or 28th, something like that. But I had started my class right that weekend after that Saturday. They shut down that Thursday. I started my class on that Saturday with her on the 60 days, writing your book in 60 days. So I was like, okay, God, you really love me for real, because you don't shut the whole world down to make sure I write this book. And so it was perfect timing, because we couldn't go to the salon. I mean, everything was shut down. And it just gave me time. It was just me, God, and the laptop. And going to those classes. And so I had nothing but time to concentrate and write the book. And that's pretty much how it all started.
Wow.
Yeah.
And of course, you've gone on to do your workbooks. Those have come from your book for both the teenage population, the young adult population, as well as adults. And so that's been your journey with the books. And what else do you do to help authors? Let's talk about that.
Well, God just gave me a bonus. I'm just like, I don't know why people will not serve God. I just don't understand. And it's just not always just to get stuff from him. It's sometimes he'll give you a bonus because of your faithfulness. Your faithfulness over the small things and the small assignments that he give you. He will give you a bonus. It's just like when you're on a job, like he's my CEO. Like he's my boss. God is my boss. He's my CEO. And just like when we was at Chase, they gave us bonuses. They gave us, sometimes when we would go to the company picnics or, functions, they would give us gifts and backpacks and bags and things of that nature, gift cards or whatever. So they would give us things. So why God wouldn't give us things? God give us
good. That's good.
He give us a raise. He give us bonuses, and those bonuses be amazing.
Yeah, they are.
So with that being said, he gave me a bonus. I was minding my business, and people just started reaching out to me for help with writing their book. And I was like, oh, okay, so this is where we go. So I helped my first client, Latavia Davis, write her book. It was a children's book, Polka Lip Power. I have it right here.
Nice.
And I partner with you as well as my business partner, business coach, Audra. And we were able to make her dream come true. And she is now a self-published author. She's on Amazon, and I was just in awe of what God, did. And so now I am launching my publishing company, Freedom Publishing. And so, like I said, it's just a bonus that God has blessed me with. And he continues to keep opening doors for me.
Yes, good stuff. Good stuff. I like how you made the analogy of bonuses on the job. And how God gives us bonuses. I never looked at it like that. He does give us raises. That's why sometimes people say raise your prices.
Yes.
He's trying to give us a raise. I like that.
Yes.
I actually love it. I love it. So, and those little bonuses along the way are people who appreciate, like you said, it's not always physical or monetary, but just hearing how much somebody appreciated you walking them through the process, of getting financially free. Their credit score is now high, or, Latavia excited about her book, ready to do her next book. So those are the bonuses. Even repeat customers, that's a bonus because people don't have to come back,
Yeah.
So I love that analogy. So let's talk about how writing that book impacted your life. You said it was the middle of COVID. I know you was probably like, God, you got jokes. How am I going to get this done? It's the middle of a shutdown. Where the money coming from? Because I ain't working. So I know that was like, okay, Lord, what's up with this? So talk about how that impacted you, writing it in the middle of COVID, not knowing if it would sell, what would happen next. How did that impact you?
All I can say is speechless.
Mm.
Because at the beginning of January 2020, that was not on my vision board as far as writing a
Wow.
book.
Wow. Okay.
It was
Or
not on
start
my
a publishing company.
no, or do a podcast. None of this stuff was on my vision board.
Right. Right.
So I know, and I pray for those who did suffer or went through things during the pandemic. I can truly say God opened up the windows of heaven and poured out blessings that I have room enough not to receive. Like it
Mhm.
just it was just it's like he opened up heaven and just things just kept happening.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I know this is all God because like I said, none of this was planned, none of it was on my vision board, but he just kept giving me what I needed to do for my business. So
Yeah.
it changed my life tremendously as an
Mhm.
author because it lets me know I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me, and it
Yeah.
also showed me who God really is, like for real,
Mm.
like
Well,
because we was all shut down and it was no me and 1,000 people, it was me and
right.
God,
Right.
and so
Right.
I was able to be in a place to hear from Him by the Holy Spirit, giving me
Mhm.
instructions on what I needed to do. And I just always give God before I even walk out the door. I give you full control over my life. Because
Yes.
before I was born, this day is already predestined. I don't know what this day is gonna be like. You
Right.
already know. I don't know. You the one knows the beginning from the end. So
Mhm.
therefore, I always give him full control over my life and ask him to order my steps because he already know what's gonna happen anyway.
Right.
I
Yeah.
just prefer to give him full control because I'd rather for him to lead me because I don't want to walk into a wall because I won't know where to go. So once
Right.
I gave him full control for real,
Hmm.
that's why I always say all gas, no brakes, because
Yeah.
that's how it was.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
2020, all 2020.
Wow. So you talk about how it impacted you. What when people pick up your book, what do you want them to have as a takeaway? What are your wishes for people who get the book?
My wishes is that you take the steps that God has given me over the years that has helped me stay financially free, debt free, and how I have been in the 800 club and has maintained and stayed in the 800 club for years. And
Mhm.
so he has given me exactly what it takes to do this,
The
you know,
strategy.
correct. And
Mhm.
I put it in the book where it could be an easy read, just some tips, tools, that you can use to get you started.
Mhm.
Some just setting the foundation. And
Yeah.
if you can stand on that foundation and get it strong, you can make it
Yeah. Yeah.
financially, and you can become financially free.
Right. So I know you have the main book and then you have the two additional workbooks. So are you working on anything new that you'll be releasing and want to share with us?
The only thing new that I'm working on now is the Financial Freedom Publishing company that will be coming out that I'm working on. Anyone who needs help or want assistance, book coach, wanting to write a book but don't know how to get started, kind of stuck. Um, I'm the person you want to come see. Um, and I'm just ready to get started because, like I said, just another bonus. And so many people have been reaching out to me to do so many things. Um, and God is just continuing to widen my load as I stay humbled before Him.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Wow. What words of encouragement, would you have for someone who wants to publish a book, especially doing it in the midst of the pandemic? What kind of words of encouragement would you have for them?
I would say to you, if God has put in your spirit to write a book, step out the boat.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid. Do what God has called and has told you to do. Tomorrow is not promised. And basically, you will be able to leave a legacy for your children or your family. This could be something that will always be on the earth while you're not even here. People will still be able to pick up your book and read
Mm-hmm.
and be inspired by what you have left
Yeah.
for, on the earth. But do what God has called you to do.
Yeah.
Um, you have people that is able to assist you if you get stuck or feel fearful. I'm
Right.
always able to help. Audrey is always able to help. So there's
Mm-hmm.
always God will always put people in your path to help you with whatever you need assistance with.
Yeah. So, what would you say brings you the most joy or excitement with the people that you work with? What brings you joy?
What brings me joy is that they trust me.
That's good.
That
That's
that
good.
right there says a lot.
Yeah, it
Um,
does.
they trust me enough to help them,
Mm-hmm.
and they see my track record.
Mm-hmm.
They see that I've always put God first, will always put God first, and I dare not do anything unless He, tell me by His Spirit to do so. I
Mm-hmm.
love to see the smile on their faces when things are working out for them, or they have now gotten out of situations that they were once in. Even with doing hair, you can have someone come in and they head down, going through some things, but before they leave, oh, they're gonna be looking good. They're gonna be laughing. They're gonna
Mm-hmm.
feel good about themselves, and that's that's what it's all about. Making
Yeah.
people feel good and giving them the encouragement that it's not over.
Yeah.
Excuse me, it's not over. It's not
Mm-hmm.
over.
Yeah. Wow. So, how would you say that you see yourself evolving in the coming years? How much longer do you have a time limit on hair? Will you be doing it until you're old and gray? How much longer? Because I know some hairstylists that have done hair into their 80s,
Yeah,
because some people say the older you get, you can't stop doing what you was doing. It almost like keeps you alive, so to speak. So,
correct.
how do you see yourself evolving? Are you just always going to have a chair in a salon? Do you want to own your own salon? What kind of evolution do you see coming?
I just do it this way. I have learned to get in the boat with Jesus, and I'm just riding it.
All right.
I'm literally riding the boat, and I'm getting off on the stops that He's telling me to get off on. My biggest thing is I want to help and encourage and educate. So if it gets to where He has me step out, and I'm just strictly educating, helping, going in low income areas, teaching them financial literacy. Um, Teaching our next generation. Someone has to do it,
Right.
because if they don't get the teaching or the foundation, then they won't have nothing to stand on.
Right.
Our generation, we have a strong foundation. We
Right.
were brought up totally different than how they're being brought
Mhm.
up now.
Yeah.
So we have stuff to fall back on. We have things that we could stand, because of the teaching and the things that we received as we were growing up.
Yeah.
And so I thank God for the strong foundation that I have in my life, and I
Mhm.
can share that with the next generation to come, where they will be able to stand once they get our age,
Right.
and not fall, or give up on
Mhm.
life. And
Yeah.
so if God calls me to just step out of behind the chair and just go strictly educating and helping, I'm all for it.
Okay. Okay. Let me ask you this, because you said something key about the next generation to come, or what they call the millennials, so to
Mm-hmm.
speak. When you're out, because I saw one time you were doing a workshop with younger hairstylists or students or something to that
Mm-hmm.
nature. What do you see the difference between the two generations? Like, we actually are two generations above them. Are we
Mm-hmm.
two generations above them? Yeah, about our age. We're about two generations above,
Mm-hmm.
almost
You're right.
two. So what kind of differences do you see between the two generations?
Yes, it's a big difference because the last class that I taught at the school, I was just, giving them my bio, how I started, and I started in the 90s, and they was like, the 90s? It was so funny just to see, like, wow,
That's only been about
she
20
said
years
the
ago.
90s? Yeah. But it's just amazing how they're go-getters. They're not like
Okay.
how we were,
Yeah.
That is something that I can truly say about this generation. Like, once their mind is made up about something, they're going to do it. They're not going to sit and wait and say, oh, should I?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the difference that I see. They
Okay.
just they're gonna go for it. And so
Wow.
that's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Because
good
we
thing.
still have people in our generation who still sitting on stuff.
They stuck, and I just don't understand some of them.
Yeah.
I'm like, you got to get going with this. You got to get
Hmm.
going.
Hmm.
Yes.
Wow. I don't understand that mentality because I'm kind of like the young generation to an extent. I've learned over the years to be a little bit more wise about stepping out doing things. But for
Mm-hmm.
the most part, if God tell me to do it, I'm like you. I'm jumping. I'm going to do it if he tell me to do it. So
Mm-hmm.
I think that's probably how they can relate to someone like you and I, because I've never had a problem relating to young people. I've
No.
worked with them since I was 18, and it
Mm-hmm.
seems like I kind of like go in and out with the young people. Like it'll be a season I work with them, and then it's a season I don't. So it's
Mm-hmm.
probably been a good 7 or so years since I last worked with young people, and now I'm seeing them like high schoolers, getting ready to graduate, and that was just like
Mm-hmm.
7 or 8 years ago.
Correct. Yes.
So they have a different drive and a different motivation.
Mm-hmm.
Do you kind of see because it's still, it's still the same like when we were coming up, you had a group who were focused and were going to
Mm-hmm.
achieve their goals, and then you had a group who wasn't, was just
Mm-hmm.
like, take it or leave it. So do you kind of see a mixture of both, or are you just experiencing those that want to jump out and make it happen?
I see a mixture of both, but for the most part, I went and just prime example. I went to a conference. Was it last year or maybe the year before COVID, the pandemic? I'm sorry,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a lot of millenniums there. Maybe
Okay.
just a handful of us around my age. I
Oh,
could probably
wow.
count on one hand. But
Okay.
listening to the ones that were sitting around me, they was just straight go-getters, you know.
Mm. Yeah.
And some of them were already making six figures. I mean, doing very well, with
Mm-hmm.
different things that they were doing. And I was like, wow, that is the difference between that generation and our generation.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of them was already, they just come out the womb. When they're born, they already have a cell phone in their hand. They're born with cell phones.
Yeah. Yeah, they are.
They already
At
know how to
one and
work all
two.
this stuff.
Yeah, at 1 and 2
Yeah.
years old.
Yeah, 1, 2 years old, they rocking. They already working and doing stuff on their computer and stuff at 2. So it's just a bit different because the knowledge that they receive, we got, I would say, late because of the social media and things like that. We
Right,
didn't have
right,
those things.
right.
So
Access.
that's what they have up on us. So they have
Mhm,
access to everything,
mhm,
literally
mhm.
everything they have access to. So
Yeah.
therefore, they're able to step out and do things with no hesitation, a lot of them.
Mhm,
And
mhm.
while I was at that conference, that's when I realized, yeah, they're definitely different from us. Because I
Yeah.
speak to people around our age and they be like, oh, I don't know. And and then you talk to them 2 years later and they still, you ain't did it
Knowing
yet?
it.
No, I'm
Yeah.
still waiting and life happened and this. So that's the difference between our generation and their generation.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're not
And
going to let obstacles in life, get in the way of, what they need to do.
yeah. And you said something key, the level of access,
Mm-hmm.
access that they have is actually putting them before their way beyond before their time.
Absolutely.
So to speak. Like giving
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, getting that understanding puts them
Mm-hmm.
steps ahead of the game.
Correct.
And that's what the internet does, because that's really where it comes from. It's the internet. And
Mm-hmm.
it gives them a few steps ahead, to have that access to say, what am I waiting for? Why am I not doing it when I got so much information? I got so much knowledge. I know how to make things happen. I could get a following, so to speak. So it's just, it's crazy how they're able to tap into things that we had to go study in the library for 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
And,
and pull
and,
out
and
encyclopedias and
right. Exactly. And pull out
I mean, it was just a
encyclopedias.
whole and a typewriter that you had to have a whiteout when you
Right.
made a mistake.
Right.
So that's what we had to do. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it puts them so far ahead of the game. That's why I can't understand someone who's in business or, just people in general who don't want to get with technology. Like
Mm-hmm.
it helps you stay current.
Correct.
And if
Mm-hmm.
you're not current, you get ran over real fast.
Yes. Yes.
So yeah. So what do you feel like is the best or greatest investment that you've made in your business, yourself? What's your greatest investment?
My greatest investment is just like in my books, um, my podcast, and different things that will help not only myself, but help my clients, help my customers.
Mhm.
Steady investing in myself, going to different conferences, workshops, especially with the hair industry. We're able to go to different hair shows and educational, continuing educational classes because you want to make sure you stay on top of different things.
Right. Right.
So that's what I do. I invest in myself that way by going to other different workshops,
Mhm. Mhm.
empowerment, business empowerment sessions and things of that nature. Because you have to invest in yourself so that way you can stay abreast of all the different changes. It's just no different than when you was working in the corporate world. Every day we
Right.
went to work, it was a change. It was something
Right.
different. We had
Right.
a meeting, we had a training class,
Mhm.
nothing was the
Mhm.
same. So you was at work Friday, you come back Monday, it's something totally different that you be doing. So
Right.
it's the same with anything. You have to stay abroad and invest in yourself with different educational classes.
Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
totally, I totally agree because you're right. Business operations literally could change
Mm-hmm.
from day to day. And if you didn't check your email or come to a staff meeting, you could get left
Yeah.
behind, you
Right.
know? And not
Yes.
being on top of your game means that you could possibly be let go, you know?
Correct. Yeah.
And so I think entrepreneurs should look at it that way,
Mm-hmm.
staying on top of the trends of their industry, knowing what's happening new out there,
Mm-hmm.
just being in the know, the news, educating yourself, self development.
Correct.
Is what it sounds like for you. You're just developing self. And when we develop ourselves, it develops our business.
Correct.
So it's kind of like a reminder to me because I had a space of time just about every day where I would spend just in self development. So I
Mm-hmm.
kind of got to need to get back to that. Just kind of getting back to developing myself. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say is the legacy that you would like to leave when it comes to your business, your personal endeavors? What is the legacy of Master Financial Coach Selena? What is your legacy?
Basically, my legacy is just leaving all the tools, the resources, things that God has given me to teach my daughter.
Mhm.
That she too can be an entrepreneur, whatever God put in her spirit to be.
Yeah.
Teaching her that you're a leader and not a follower.
Mm.
Um, Always keep God first and just instilling greatness in her, letting her
Yeah.
know you too can write a book, you
Mhm.
too can be whatever it is that God is putting in you to do. And
Yeah.
just leaving that legacy of teaching her how to be a wise steward over her finances, her life, how to
Mhm.
conduct herself when I'm not around,
Right.
just leaving those type of nuggets because I know that even with our parents have, left and taught us different things. Till this day, I'm still able to stand, on those nuggets and things. And so
Mhm.
that's the legacy that I want to leave. I want to leave my footprint in the earth that, yes, I was, with the help of God, able to help
Yeah.
someone,
Yeah.
not live in defeat or that,
Mhm.
that
Mhm.
I was able to help someone see the light at the end of the tunnel. That if God did it for me, He could do it for you. That He's no respectable person. Um, he has given us all gifts and talents and assignments. It's
Mhm.
up to you to tap into it.
Right.
You
Right.
have to tap into that,
Yeah. Yeah.
because it's something that He gave us before we was even born. It's
Mhm.
like we all on the earth is like a puzzle for God, because
Yeah.
everybody has something that we have to do. It's a puzzle. You
Mhm.
have a
Mhm.
piece, I have a piece, everybody have a certain piece. And
Yeah.
so God want us to be able to use what it is that He gave us. He gave it to
Mhm.
us for a reason, for us
Right.
to be able to impact others,
Mhm.
motivate, encourage, be a positive light. He wants to be able to shine His light through us by using our gifts and talents.
Yeah, yeah, that's good. Like a puzzle piece,
Hmm.
like. And here's the thing about a puzzle: each piece has to fit together perfectly
Absolutely.
in
Correct.
order for the picture to be clear. Because if
Hmm.
you go and you look at a natural puzzle and you put the wrong piece, you go, "Oh, that don't match." It's a little space left in there.
Hmm.
The picture's not coming together. So that's good, to compare it to a puzzle, and that way we can understand a little bit better that we all need each other. To
Correct.
some degree or another.
Hmm.
We're not in this thing alone. If you in it alone, it might be because you're isolating yourself and you're
Hmm.
not realizing these simple truths that you need someone to assist you along your journey. So I
Correct.
like that analogy of a puzzle piece. So let's see. I was gonna wrap up. There was one more thing I wanted to talk about, but it just escaped my mind. I hate when that happens. Um, I do. I hate when that happens. But we've had a good conversation thus far. We do got a couple comments that have coming in. So to my audience, thank you for joining. I've seen some people jumped on and off. But thank you so much for joining. I see Deidre Jordan Lagrone. I see you on. Good evening, my sister. God bless you. Thank you for joining. She said, awesome. Amen. Purpose. So, yes, it is about purpose.
Yes.
God has put us in this earth to fulfill a purpose. And
Correct.
so, you want to leave what you call, like you said, footprints in the
Hmm.
earth. And people don't realize that we leave footprints through books. That's
Absolutely.
one of the ways we leave a footprint and an imprint.
Hmm.
Footprint leaves an imprint on
Correct.
someone's mind, someone's spirit, someone's heart, and you just don't know how what you're doing is going to encourage somebody else.
Hmm.
So, before we sign off tonight, what are some final words that you have for our viewers before we sign off tonight?
Before I sign off, I just want to tell you guys thank you for joining and coming on and watching. And I know I talk about God a lot, but I just can't have it
Oh, that's
because
what we
He
do
has
here.
done. He has done so much for me. So I would count it robbery not to lift Him up. But I
Mhm.
just want to just say to you guys, don't sleep on God.
Yes,
I'm telling you, do not sleep on God. He is
that's good.
able to do all kinds of things. You have to ask the Holy Spirit to lead, direct, and guide you on a day-to-day basis. Before you walk out your door, you need to pray and ask God, Holy Spirit, you lead, direct, and guide me, because He already know what the day is going to be.
Right.
He already have your life is already predestined. But one thing
Mhm.
He's not going to do is force Himself on you.
That's right.
He's not going to go against your will. But if you submit yourself to Him, I am a living witness. He will open up the windows of heaven and pour out a blessing that you have room enough not to receive. I know for a fact that He will give you overflow so that
Yeah,
you can be a blessing to others. If you take care of God's business,
he will
trust
take
what
care of
I'm
yours.
telling you. He will
Hmm.
take care of yours plus more. And
Yes,
once He can trust you with, because the money you have is not yours anyway. That's all. Everything you have is His. When
right,
you was born naked when you came in the world, and when you leave, you're gonna be naked when you leave. They just gonna
right.
put your little dress on so people can see you. But other than that, You're gonna come in the same way you left out. You're not gonna be
Right.
able to take no, we're not gonna be able to take none of this stuff
Right.
when we leave. We're not gonna be able to take our houses, our cars, not even our spouses. When we stand
Right.
before God, it's just gonna be us and God. And you're gonna be held accountable for everything that God has already assigned to you.
Mm-hmm.
When you
Mm-hmm.
stand before him, he's gonna look at what did you do with what I gave you? Did you bury it because you were
Mm-hmm.
scared about what people was going to say? Who cares what people
Right.
say? You
Right.
are on an assignment to complete your assignment that God has given you. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
time to worry about where the resources are going to come from, because when
Right.
you step out the boat, God is going to give you the resources. You don't have
Mm-hmm.
time to worry about who's going to support. It doesn't matter. He could touch somebody's heart in New York to support you. That's
That's
none of your
right.
business. It
Right.
doesn't matter what people are going to say. They talked about Jesus and spit in his face, and he still completed his assignment. Once he knew what his assignment was, he could care less what other people was thinking about him.
Right.
He even looked at Judas and said, "What you gonna do? Go ahead and do
Do
what you're
it
gonna do, because
quickly.
I'm ready to
Right.
complete my assignment anyway." So what y'all gonna do? Y'all go ahead and do what y'all gonna do, because I already know where I'm going. I'm
Right.
just only here because I know I have an assignment, pretty much. And that's why when
Mm-hmm.
Jesus was talking to the disciples, he already said, one of y'all gonna betray me. And
Yeah.
everybody was like, is it me? Is it me? Is it I? Is it I? He was like, I already know what's going to go down. So
Mm-hmm.
Judas, go ahead and do what you got to do. So
And
I
do
can
it
get to this
quickly.
cross so I can get on back to heaven. Because he already knew what his assignment was. We need to
Right.
have that same attitude. People gonna come against you. Things gonna come up. Life is gonna happen. Da 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 da. The same with Jesus. He knew all this stuff was gonna come up and things was gonna happen, but his mind would say, "Look, I know what you saying, how you looking at me. It don't matter. I have an assignment. I'm trying to get to this cross."
Right. Right.
Complete my assignment, because I know in 3 days it's a wrap. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So y'all could go ahead and hit me, kick at me, spin on me, do whatever y'all got to do. But in
Mm.
3 days, I'm gonna be gone back to where I came from.
Right.
He
Right.
already knew what his assignment was. We got to
Yeah.
have the same thing. That's why God said, y'all just passing through this earth. I don't know why y'all worried about all the stuff that's going on. We just passing through.
Right.
Our job is to do what God telling us to do, encourage along the way.
Mm-hmm.
We're
Mm-hmm.
just passing through here. This is not our home. We're
Yeah.
trying to be like Jesus was. We just trying to get to heaven,
Right.
at the end
Right.
of the day. So I just want to encourage you guys, whatever that it is that God has told you to do, stop being afraid. Do not allow the enemy to isolate you, to make you feel like you can't do it or you're less than. That's
Right.
the trick of the enemy.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do what God has told you to do. Stop worrying about you don't have the money or you don't have this and that. Go to God. Ask the Holy Spirit to give you what it is that you need to complete whatever He has told you to complete. And trust me, He will do it. He
Yes, he
will
will.
touch anybody's heart to bless you. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He's God.
Yeah. Yeah.
And His Spirit can touch anybody. I mean, that's how He operates
Mm-hmm.
to bless you. So don't be afraid. Step out.
Yeah.
Do not
Yeah.
be afraid. I am a living witness. I stepped out and God and Audrey is my witness. It's just been
Yeah. Yeah.
blessings after blessing.
Mm-hmm.
And my mind is made up. I can't speak for nobody else. I don't have time to worry about nothing. I'm just like
Yeah.
micro focus on, okay, God, what do you have for me to do today?
Right. Right.
Because He said, don't worry about tomorrow. He said, you focus on today,
Yeah.
what it is that He has for you today to do.
Mm-hmm.
He'll
Mm-hmm.
take care of tomorrow. He's gonna take care of
Yeah.
me anyway. He has already proven
Right.
that. So I don't worry about nothing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because I already know He owns the whole world. What am I worried about? Like,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't have nothing to worry about. He's gonna take care.
Yeah.
I'm gonna eat every day. I got somewhere to stay. He gonna take care of me. I'm
Right.
not gonna worry.
Mm-hmm.
So you
Mm-hmm.
have to be the same way. Don't worry about anything when you are doing what God is telling you to do. If you paying your tithe, giving your free will office, being a blessing, submitting yourself to Him, seeking His face, you have nothing to worry about, because He is gonna, when you do exactly what He tell you to do, He's gonna make sure He provide and give you provision. Period.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, amen. Let's collect the offering. What's your cash app? No. Ah, tell tell everybody where they can find your books and listen to your podcast. That's what I wanted to
Yes.
lead into, your podcast.
Yes, 800 Plus Financial Freedom Podcast is on all the social media platforms, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google, Amazon. It's on all the different platforms. You can listen every Friday for a new upload. And then my book, you can purchase the book on Amazon, The Ultimate Guided Tips Towards Financial Freedom. As well as the workbooks, the Foundational Steps to Credit Building Workbook for the youth, as well as the Ultimate Guide Pathway to Financial Freedom for adults. They're all on Amazon, as well as my website, SelenaGibbons.com.
Yeah. And you can see I have her website across the screen. So it is www.selenagibbons.com. What a phenomenal interview. What a phenomenal time of sharing. Always like to hear people expound about the things of God. That's what this platform is about. IBG stands for Inspired by God. So
yes,
that's what this is all about. It's not about, it's his platform because he created it. He gave the vision. So I love when people expound on, especially people pursuing purpose and pursuing destiny. And I don't know, I guess it's just what I've been through, that I'm just so passionate about pursuing my purpose, because I know that I literally should have been dead. I know that. And so because of that reason, I can't see anything else I would be doing. I don't see it. I don't get it. I don't understand it. So I love to hear when the guests come on and expound on pursuing purpose, doing what God called you to, knowing he's going to take care of you. Yeah. That's the basic thing. If he feed the sparrow, like they say in the old school song, if his eyes on the sparrow, I know he watched him. I'm more important than a sparrow. Come on, somebody. I'm just saying. Yes. If he's feeding the birds and the worms and all that on the food chain, how I ain't gonna get fed? Right. Yep. How I ain't gonna have shelter? And if he let me go homeless, it's only for a season. It ain't for forever. So thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for our guests who, again, been popping on and off. Deidre, looks like you still hanging with us. Thank you so much, my sister. She said, preach, Selena. And she said, amen, amen. God bless you all. We will be back next week where my special guest, every week I have to think about who's on the next week. But my special guest next week will be Dr. Gwendolyn D. Gibbs. She is she's another, I play her video actually. She's another IBG author. So we will be glad to have her on. She was on last week with her husband. But next time she'll be on to share her personal journey as an author and minister and all that good stuff she does as well. So join us next week. You can catch the replay either on social media, ibgpublications.com, not ibgpublications.com, but IBG Publications on social media. My personal page, Audra V. Heard. Also, you can catch us on our YouTube channel. We do have a YouTube channel. We upload these interviews every week, so you can catch all the replays. I've had people who go to the channel and they're like, I watched every single video on the channel. I'm like, well, praise God. I'm glad it was interesting enough for you to watch them all. So God bless you all. Thank you for joining us. We'll be back. This is the Working Wednesdays broadcast. Again, my special guest, Master Financial Coach Selena Gibbons. And thank you so much for joining. Y'all have a wonderful night.
Thank you. Have a good night.